I'm Michael Sencindiver, and welcome to Filmative Moviemakers. Today's special guest star is coming in from New York City. We have Stephen Sorrentino here. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm well, Michael. How are you?
So, Stephen, you've tackled a lot of entertainment forms over the years. You've done stage performing, filmmaking. You've been a music composer. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I've been in the business since making money at it, I guess, since 1975. Since I was a young teenager. I started out as a singer, as a songwriter, and then you have to evolve as you get older, and I kind of drew in Las Vegas stage performing, comedy. I became a comedian and then a filmmaker. The last few years I've done pretty well as a director, producer, and actor, and I've always been an actor.
That's really awesome. Let's take a look at Stephen's show, Voices in My Head.
Las Vegas, Nevada, here's Stephen Sorrentino! Here at the Copacabana, music and fashion, whirlwinds and fashion. I'm talking, misunderstood. Here we are, in our room full of strangers.
It's the greatest hits of Led Zeppelin, only sung by all the wrong people.
Oh, let the sun be down upon my face. Snow and a midnight sun of a warm wind blow out. Wayne Newton's Stairway to Heaven, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. You know that it would be untrue. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. Don't let my glad expression. It's all the jumping and the feet just can't be still. I never do be a better time, and I guess I'm terrible. Hey, how you doing? Why can't I fall in love? Oh,
That was really awesome. I
Lot of
love
work.
that video. Like, I've shown it all over the place. So you've been friends with like a lot of, and have worked with a lot of people, such as like Dana Carvey, Quentin Crisp, like Jerry Lewis, Debbie Reynolds, and stuff. Who inspired you to get into the showbiz?
I think I was inspired by my family, by my grandfather more than anything. And when I watched television as a kid, I used to dream that I was amongst them. I used to watch the Jerry Lewis telethon every year, and I always loved Jerry Lewis because he used to make these great faces and you know. And for some reason, I always pictured myself being with Jerry Lewis on stage, watching Debbie Reynolds, and I'd watch like Singing in the Rain, which is a great famous film for her first famous film. And I'd say someday I'm going to be with her. And it just inspired me to say, I'm going to try. And as I got more into music or whatever, and the show you just saw, I produced, I directed, I also designed the costumes, for God's sakes. I love every part of this business. And as I got older, I attracted those people. They would come to my shows, and they became my neighbors in Las Vegas. And eventually I became, you know, looking across the lunch table, and there's Jerry Lewis is my lunch guest, or Debbie Reynolds for 5 years, touring with her all over the country for the last 5 years of her active life. So they all inspired me. Everybody inspires me. Young people inspire me coming up, and the old people going out. They all inspire me. I just want to do it all.
That's amazing, man. You've been a lead actor, director, producer, and composer in a lot of films and stage performances. What are some of the challenges that go along with that?
The challenges that go along is to be as good as you were hoping you would be every single time. I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to forget the words. I don't want it to look bad. So you beat yourself up to death, but you put your best into it. So the challenges are to be great at what you do as best as you can, but to also not, I try not to rely on other people for my own outcome. So that's why I wear so many hats: producer, director, composer, actor, singer, comedian. I don't want to fail because of somebody else. So I try to surround myself with really talented people, and I try to do the best I can. And I don't want to fail yet. Eventually, I don't know. But and you've worked with me, you know me. I have to do it right. I want to do it right every time. So the challenge is to get it right, to make it look as pro as you can every single time you get on that stage. If I'm doing a play and it's the 300th performance, and I walk through the door and I see somebody, "Oh my God, how are you?" On the 300th performance, that audience deserves the same reaction, the illusion of the first, "Oh my God, how are you?" So that's what they deserve. The audience deserves our absolute best. And that's why we do show business. Whether it's television, film, stage, Broadway, the seats deserve our best.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, you inspire me to drive me forward and stuff. I never really had any inspirations for getting into this, but now I do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So let's take a look at Stephen's acting reel from 2020.
Do you think people are bad?
I guess to a certain degree. Some are good though. Some aren't. I don't know. Why?
I want to be good.
You are good.
Mom doesn't think so.
Yeah, she does. She's just scared. Whether you know it or not, you guys are a lot alike. You're both willful and courageous and strong-minded, bossy. And you're both, at times, kind of a bully.
Look at me. Mikey, I brought you in. I gotta take you out. Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry. This book has been bothering me all day. I don't mean to be rude. I just like things a certain way.
It's a lovely shelf.
No. See, there are things in this world that you could use for a long time. Just because something's not new doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. So, you could use it for as long as you want. Or until it breaks. I like to use things until they break.
Breathe out! Come on, 10 more.
Give me some water.
Get on the scale.
Give me some water first.
Get on the scale, baby doll. Let's go. You see? You do what I tell you to do, you're gonna have successes.
How much have I lost?
Life is a circle.
How much have I lost?
Say it.
Tell me how much I lost
Say
first.
it.
Life is a circle.
What kind of circle?
Great big circle made up from God, and only God can invite you into the circle.
And who? Who gets to sit in God's circle?
Only the worthy.
Good. 1 pound 4 ounces.
That's it?
Somebody tell me what the happened out there.
Look, Johnny, I didn't shoot nobody.
Yeah? Well, Sid here says you did. What about you, Marty? What do you say?
Well, John, I think this whole thing is f***ed up.
Yeah? Well, we gotta sit tight for a while, on account of this being a little bit out of the ordinary, I still got a couple of things to figure out here. One of which is we're still waiting for another car to come and get us out of here. Now answer the fucking question. Yes or no?
And your point is? That's illegal. It's discrimination.
There's nothing illegal about it. Look, you only get in trouble if you refuse to hire a man.
And I would be happy to hire the guy stupid enough to want to be one of the coconut go-go girls.
I'm not going. Guess what? Guess who's from sunny San Diego, baby? I grew up there.
Don't just leave me alone.
I'm not doing anything. I'm making space here, Roscoe. Get ready, baby.
You and you don't bother me.
I'm not.
Just leave me
What
alone.
I'm saying is, I got connections down in San Diego.
I don't
you
care
can make
what
a call.
you have.
Verify what I'm telling
Leave
you.
me alone.
I am
I'm
leaving
warning you.
Don't warn
I'm
me.
gonna shoot you, mister. Shoot you dead right
You're
here.
gonna shoot me with your finger?
Like a finger, boy. It's a gun.
Oh my God! Knock it. Come on, get back to the subject.
You owe me big, Miss Callis.
Clementine, dear. Is that a dildo in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me?
Guys, we need a great special to get people excited about Papa John's. Hey, there's nobody more creative than you two, so what do you got?
PapaJohns.com.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Right.
I took a lot of time to get all the curse words out.
Yeah, I have a colorful language in a lot of stuff that I do. I get cast a lot as a mafia boss or even a mafia boss drag queen, but I still use language. So.
Hey, I mean, I curse like a sailor myself, so you're good. Have you ever worked with like friends and coworkers that you previously worked with on like the stage in Vegas and like films that you've made?
Yeah, well, sure. As far as what, in film?
Yeah, in film. Like, have you like acted with anybody? Like,
there was recently in 19 whatever it was. There was one of the Village People, the guys that did Macho Man and YMCA. I opened for him in 1988 as my original band, and he was in the Village People, which were huge. Cut to this year, I cast him in a movie that I produced and star in, that you're working on, that you have worked on, called Amends of the Father, and he's in the movie. So 34 years later, we're still working together, which is awesome.
wow, that's pretty neat.
I think it's neat as heck.
Yeah, I mean, especially working on Amends of the Father, that was such an honor to work with you.
Thank you, brother. Let me ask you a question. Let's go back for a second. You just saw me as a mafia guy, got to kill people, a dad, a grandfather, a pizza guy, and a drag queen. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, definitely the drag queen one. When I first saw your acting reel, I was genuinely surprised that you went from just mob boss to person working out, and then
I'm hot.
And then to drag queen to Papa John's commercial.
Yeah. Well, and here's the beautiful part of acting and what we do, all of us, is that we get to be somebody else every single day. Every day, when I was a kid, my favorite holiday was Halloween. And I waited all year to get dressed up as somebody else and play to be somebody else or step into somebody's skin. I chose to do that for a living. So every single day is Halloween for me. And I'd like to live the rest of my life like that, which I have been for the last 25 years. So how much fun is it to say, today I'm going to be a completely different person. How do they feel? What's their background? And really step into somebody's skin. So whether it's a drag queen or a mafia boss or whatever the heck I'm playing, it's beautiful because it truly is them. And you've seen me play a guy that's struggling with alcohol and drugs in the last film that I did, and I have to flip out. I flipped out. And I have high blood pressure as it is, so it's a little rough. But at that point, it's so beautiful to be able to go all the way there and scream and yell and then cry in another scene. That's the spice of life for me when it comes to as an actor. And producer, I love creating different things.
What is one mistake that you've made in the show business that you would take back in a heartbeat?
Wow, here's the thing. The one mistake I would take back is nothing, because every mistake I made, I learned from. So I never had a mistake where I went, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that, because 2 weeks later I went, well, I'm not going to do that again. So I've made no mistakes. Trusting other people all the time would be something I should not. I'm smarter than I think. I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but I need to trust even as an older man now, I need to trust myself because I know, and you've seen, I know what I'm doing, and sometimes I'll go back in my past and say, hey, remember that guy? He was great 25 years ago. Well, he belongs 25 years ago because he was good then, and today's today. So we grow every single day, and the only mistake I would make is to be cautious. I have nothing to lose. Every single day, as an actor especially, you put yourself out 100%. And if you make an idiot out of yourself for a minute, okay, so that's the way it is. It's okay, because it's truly you. If a casting director doesn't like what you do, I don't care. I'm free of that. When I was younger, I used to say, oh, what if they don't like me? What if I say it wrong? What if they do? So it doesn't matter anymore. I just do it this way. That's my choice. And if they don't like it, well, they'll call me for another one. So I can't fail if I just go full force at what I believe and what feels right. The gut. Go with your gut, always.
Wow.
That's a long answer to a very, very short question.
That's all right. I mean, I have a lot of questions for you.
No.
So one of those being like, you've helped a lot of people around the world, like both like on the big screen and on like the big stage. Who has had like the biggest impact on your life?
As far as somebody I helped or somebody that's
somebody that you've helped.
I don't know how to answer that question. I every single day, and there's 4 or 5 countries that I have mentor. The thing is, once I started really doing well in the production and actor, my bills were paid and I bought the houses that I want and I got to travel to the places, how many countries I've played over the years, I started to give back because really that's the only thing that's equitable that we can take with us is what we give. We plant a tree every time we help a young person. So whether it's in the Philippines, Malaysia, in Europe, or in the United States, I have mentor students. And when they call me or I see them working somewhere and they're doing a film or performing on Broadway and they say, because you gave me my start, that's everything to me. So I don't want to mention names, but more than once a week, I get that feeling of something that I gave comes back to me, and it just feels great. It doesn't make me anything, it doesn't give me anything tangible, but it fills my heart and it fills my life. And so when I drop dead someday, there's going to be a bunch of these on the mantle, and then some letters saying, hey, he helped me. You know what I mean? And that's where it's at. I don't want anyone to thank me, and it's dance shoes and things like that. And I start foundations and I start scholarship funds, like in Las Vegas. We helped so many young people buy them violins and musical instruments, dance shoes, dance lessons. So every single day, I'm glad that I'm able to help. And I'm always here for people, and I almost never say no.
Wow.
Almost.
I mean, I'm almost speechless with that. That is just like, you're truly amazing for doing that. Like,
you have to. You have to. It's why the universe, not to get weird and religious or spiritual, but we're given great things and opportunities, and the plan is to give it back to other people and to share it, to rise everybody up and not hold everybody down, because you just wind up in the mud yourself when you hold other people down. For me, I've always been an improvisational guy. I'm a Second City alumni. So it's yes, and. So let's do something together. Yes, and. It becomes this, and we all rise together. So anytime I work with Dana Carvey, Louis Anderson, and the Smothers Brothers, it's been such a positive, even with Jerry Lewis, a positive experience. And anybody that was negative, Dennis Miller, I felt myself in the mud, and I just didn't want to be a part of that.
So I kind of know the answer to this question already, but like, since I've worked with you in the past, what films are you currently working on? Do you have anything brewing in your head for like what's next?
Well, I'm currently in the mud with 2 movies that I produced. One is with kids that you worked on. It's called Detective Kiwi. It's a short film. It's a beautiful story about children, about relationships, about loss. It's a beautiful film, and it's a short film we're editing right now, and that comes out soon. It's all Asian cast, Asian writer. Jonathan Chen, who's a beautiful human being, wrote it and also stars in it. Directing him was oh, by the way, I'm not in this movie except for voiceover, which is rare. So I'm just the director, producer, and I love it. And I wrote all the music for it. So it's kind of a classical piece called Esqueleto de Amor, which you heard. And it's almost like a Spielberg type of thing. And then Amends of the Father, which is basically my life story as a young guy, kind of blocking myself from success because of drugs and alcohol and self-doubt, mostly self-doubt. Arrogance came from self-doubt. And now he comes back after 40, 35 years to try to regain where he was at. Well, you can't be a pop star at my age, you know, but he doesn't know that. So this is a very serious, as you know, dramatic film it's taken a year of my life, but it's almost done, and we're editing it now. After that, I'm going to start working on a film called The Maestro, which will be black and white, and it's a very disturbing story about a murderer. Light stuff, kids. All light stuff. What can I tell you?
You told me a little bit about that recently on like the way back from New York. But for now, let's take a look at the BTS of Stephen's latest film, Amends of the Father.
Holy shit.
C2, take 1, marker.
You're the toughest guy in the room. So on this shoot, I'm acting as executive producer, some co-directing, travel coordinator, casting director. musical composer, a lot of stuff. You really want to hear this? I was able to find in Ocean Ridge a great house that we could all stay in, and also dual purpose as a set. And there's two pieces of this that we're going to use for two different parts. It's perfect because it's got these long hallways, this grand entrance, it's got the outside that we can use for the music video, a beautiful pool, and it also houses everybody. It has a great kitchen and easy to get to. And also it looks stunning. So the next scene that we're doing is going to be the AA meeting, where we first see Tony in real life. And he's at an AA meeting that we have a great location here, which is actually an actual AA place for people that go to meetings every day, getting a 6-month chip on that day. And we're going to reveal who this character is. The final location for us is on Palm Beach Island, and it's a beautiful, huge house, $30 million mansion. The problem is that tomorrow's going to be colder than Alaska here in Florida. So if worse comes to worse, and we have to use this location, it can double. And you won't miss it because you won't know what you're missing. So this location will work if we need it to. So we're covering all our bases times 10 on this whole shoot.
Got some for real. So it's going to be 3, 2, boom, the second one.
Because I get my hand in everything, and I guess I get it the way I want my original vision was. So I get to go all the way from A to Z again of every part of the production and process of making a film. Now, yeah, I'm still fucking good. I'm still fucking good. Rough.
Yeah, I had to edit that one too. I put in the BTS from like the film that from the scene that we originally shot and stuff.
Yeah. Talk about fresh. That was this weekend.
Yeah.
Or Monday. So only a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with films such as Amends to the Father going through reshoots, what have been the biggest challenges that you've tackled over the years with that film?
Well, in this one, I had an actor that read great. You know, nowadays we don't do real auditions. We don't go into a studio and look at a camera, look at a producer, and we do it on Zoom, or we do it as a video. And the guy that I read, to be honest, was great. I changed the part for him. I thought he was wonderful. He did 5 or 6 different Zoom auditions, and I actually embellished the part for him. And then when he came to set, and he spent 4 days at the house taking pictures of himself and showing his Instagram and how famous he was, not to sound weird, but this is what I disrespect about some of the people in our business. He was so enamored with himself being part of it that he forgot that he needed to act. So when the camera was on him, what's a nice way of saying he wasn't very good? He wasn't very good. So I spent 6 months trying to edit him out of the film, and it was suffering. So after 6 months, we said, let's reshoot. So for me, it was a monumental undertaking of finding new cinematographers in New York, finances, finding lodging. As you know, it was rough. So I had to really suck it up and just take a bullet, because I wasn't going to let one person's inability to focus and or do his job ruin my film. Boy, that sounded judgmental, but it was absolutely judgment, and that's just the way it is. Know your stuff, folks. If you're going, know your stuff. He didn't.
So how do you recommend new people to get into the film industry?
Quit, run, don't. You know what? If you love it, just do it and attract people that will find you. The more you do it, the more it's magic. If you don't think that this business, whether it's film, stage, Broadway, comedy, it's magic. And if you do it, you're creating something, and people will find you somehow. I'm living proof that any idiot could make a lot of money, see the world, do what they love, wake up in the morning and go, wow, this is, you know, I have awards all over my house from just a few films that I did, which is amazing. You've seen my house. I have mental, you know, and it's just a blessing. And I thank the universe and whatever you believe, God and spirituality, thank you. And I'd love more so I could give more. So I just say do it and know your craft. Spend the time, learn the craft. You know, nobody should be arrogant to say, I know my stuff. Nobody knows anything. Just keep working at it and make it yours and make it special, and know that you owe everybody the best you can do. The best acting, the best camera work, the best coverage, the sound, every part of our business has to be great so the people get what they're paying for or what they deserve. Audiences, people sitting at home, whatever that is.
So
That's a lot, isn't it?
It is. You run this film festival called the Washington D.C. International Cinema Festival.
Yeah.
How did that start up? Like,
you know, when I won awards, I said it's so cool that suddenly I'm winning an award as an actor, and then it goes out there, and everybody sees these films, and then I'm getting calls from other people casting me and stuff. So I'm like, isn't that great that it's like almost like a community thing? So I said, why not put a little money, start our own Washington, D.C. International Cinema Festival, and now it's become a thing. And I couldn't now, as the director, I could not watch your movie. I could not vote. I watched your movie. I could not vote on it because you're a friend and we work together. But you won. So, I mean, you won several awards. We get filmmakers from all over the planet, which blows me away, from Korea and China. It's just amazing me. Egypt today. So this is a thing that connects people. It gives young artists a start where they say, you know what, maybe I am good enough to make another movie. Maybe I'm good enough to put some more time into this. And mom and dad might be wrong that I should get a day job, you know, pushing a broom, that I am a filmmaker, that I am a director or writer. So that's what we all need, is a little bit of confidence building. A long time ago, a guitar player, his name was Phil Grande. I would think I was a really good singer. It was the 80s. And he said, you won't make it because you're afraid to eat bologna sandwiches. And I said, what the heck does that mean? And Bryan Adams was a big pop star at the time, and his band was rehearsing with us, and they all said, great voice, man, great songs. They heard, and I'm like, why isn't it happening for me? He said, bologna sandwiches. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? He said, you're afraid to commit 100% and be poor and only be able to afford $1.99 a pound bologna and some bread and mustard instead of you having something to fall back on. You know, if this doesn't work, I'll have that fall. Well, he was right, because until I said, that's it, I have nothing to fall back on, I started to fall forward, and I never looked back. So the day that I said, this is me, this business is me, and if it works out, great. If not, I'll live in my car, great, but I'm doing what I love. So that's the thing. It gives people that inspiration to just, yes, you're good, do more.
So on Amends of the Father and sort of on Detective Kiwi, I noticed that a lot of people on the set was like this thing called SAG. What is SAG? Like, how do you get?
SAG is the Screen Actors Guild. It's our actors union, and it's basically to protect. It's, you know, started out as gee, I don't even remember who started it. It might have been like back in the day, like in the 1930s or 40s, Jimmy Cagney and those guys. It's basically the union for actors. So you have to have certain rules and regulations. It's to protect us. When COVID was at its worst, I did a SAG film as an actor, and it was almost impossible, where we had a wrangler for your mask, and then 3, 2, 1, act, cut, you know, the people. So it's to protect us. So there's SAG, and there's also AFTRA, which American Federation of, I don't remember what it is, but they merged, so it's now SAG-AFTRA. It's our actors union. And so I'm a SAG signature producer and also actor for 6 years.
26 years?
Yeah, I've been a good
Wow.
union member.
How do you get into SAG?
You plead, and you have to do 3 Screen Actor Guild projects, and then you're automatically in. So it's just one of those things where you have to do SAG projects. Once you do, they're higher paying. Of course, there's a pay scale, you know, cap on the bottom, rather. So it's the best thing for you to do if you're in an inner city. Los Angeles, California, Chicago, New York, Atlanta. But if you're doing something in the sticks for now, it's best to be non-union. It's best to do as many short projects as possible, get your name out there. And then when you get to the big city, join the union, you make the real money.
Gotcha. So, like, since we live in, like, we're in Virginia Beach right now, and I know a lot of peers who are staying here in Virginia Beach. Like, is there any, like, hot spots for film that you recommend going to at our age?
I have no idea. Now?
Yeah, now.
Yes, go to where the world is. New York, Los Angeles. Atlanta, even for television now. So Atlanta's a hot spot. Yeah, you have to go. Unfortunately, I mean, it'd be great if opportunity came to us, but sometimes we have to go to opportunity. And the most work is Los Angeles, but you know, this is where we learn. We learn everywhere. And this situation here, looking at the school, is amazing. Because you're getting, I didn't have this. I mean, I went to a community college for music, and I quit after 6 months because I was making more money than most of the professors gigging. But if I had this, I had to make my bones looking at cameras and learning how to connect with the camera by doing a bunch of commercials in Vegas. So when I moved to Vegas as a comedian, they were like, you want to do some acting? I'm like, well, I'm a New York trained actor. They're like, oh my God, he can act. Because nobody could act in Vegas. So I got commercials every day. At one point, CBS, NBC, and ABC had commercials at the same time with me as the star of the commercial. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Of course, they weren't very good paying commercials, but I got my camera time, which is the most important. So that's what you're all getting here is camera time, production time, time to learn your craft. So once you learn this craft, then bring it wherever you need to go.
So you mentioned like during COVID, it was like you had to like do like the mask stuff, and then like it was for us it was like we had like a huge shakeup where like a lot of our classes became online and stuff. Like a lot of our project-based classes became paperwork classes. How was it in the industry for like doing acting and like stage performing and stuff?
Well, the new thing, it all happened where at one point nobody was auditioning for anything because everything was closed. But then we started video, and this is the most important thing right now. If you learned how to audition back in the day, you basically made them like you and you were big. Now, if you don't know how to use your phone or you know how to use either a Zoom audition or make a short video, you're out of luck. So from COVID, you had to either sink or swim. Learn how to use your phone, learn how to get Cute Cut, which is a really cheap app that I use that you can put music on, you can put titles, and just make your auditions that way. Then get on Backstage, Actors Access, and LA Casting. So it changed. It went from being, hi, I'm here for my audition, to sending a video. And if you don't know how to work that camera and connect with the producers, you're not going to get work. So it changed drastically. And of course, on set was a nightmare. But I worked. And I also did, for some reason, Alabama thought that there was no COVID. So it was actually great that, we continued to do shows there. Everybody got sick. And some of us died and some of us lived, and that was so I worked throughout COVID. I worked the whole time. I started COVID in Australia. I was on tour. So I went there with a mask on, and then for 2 weeks I had no mask because there was fires in Melbourne. And then the last 2 weeks, it was COVID. We're like, what? And then we came back and I went to LA and they said, why are you wearing a mask? I'm like, there's nothing here. So there's that.
So something that like for us as students, we struggle a lot is finding cast and crew. How have you found over the time that we've been together, you found like Josh Ventura, Giancarlo Estrada, and like Cameron Becerri off of what was it, like Backstage?
I found them on Backstage, all of them, yeah.
How do you recommend people to find actors and crew?
I saw, I think, what did I tell you for the other part? 100 and some odd actors that sent me videos. How do I find them? They find you because you put as a producer, you put your casting call out. But it's how people respond to you. You can tell when people are not going to be good because they just don't care. Giancarlo Estrada, I found him, I think I had 40 cinematographers, maybe 40, send me stuff. Some of them were terrible, some of them were great. And when I met them, because I like to meet on Zoom, they just don't care. Well, what does it pay? If you ask me what does it pay as an artist, the first question, not what is the job or what's the movie like, if the first thing is, you're not going to work out. Not for me. It just doesn't work. So it's the attitude of the people when you're auditioning. People can smell if you're not going to be good. Yes and. What are you doing? Am I engaged in it? And then Giancarlo, the guy that I used, and you saw he was great.
Yeah.
I'll work with him anytime now. He proved himself to me that there's a little boy that wants to play. Even though he's not. He was just like, yeah, let's make something beautiful. I love that. Because we are in this industry, whether you like it or not, we're all 9 years old and we want to play. And once you lose that, you become crusty and you should quit and play golf somewhere. So we have to stay fresh, I'm an old man, but my heart is 9 years old and I want to play. And I would love to be laughing and taking a bow and the curtain goes down, I don't feel so well, and I drop dead backstage. That's everything. You know what I mean? That's entertainment. So that's it. So it's all about how you present yourself, too. When you talk to a producer, show them your stuff. Engage. Don't go, right, well, what does it pay? Well, let me tell you about what I've done. Got it, So your attitude. Attitude is everything, man.
So, you said you've worked with Debbie Reynolds for, 5 years, and you've known, you've, been friends with, and worked with Quentin Crisp, for example, and you, he knew Jerry Lewis for a bit. Mm-hmm. Who was somebody that, that you looked up to that, ended up being, a jerk or something?
If you're smart, you don't tell in this industry. Gee whiz, I tell you what, sometimes it's great to meet your idols because you get to meet them. And like Elton John, when I was 18, I got to meet Elton John, and I worked for Rocket Records, his manager, John Reed. Nothing bad to say. I'd rather tell you who was the nicest person of all. It was Tom Jones, who's still on the X Factor, old singer, and was at the time worth, maybe personally worth about $500 million. And he was just one of the boys. Cigar, have a bourbon, you know, he's got that Welsh voice. And he was the nicest man in the world. There's a short list of people that were rough, but it's better to
keep that to yourself.
Yeah, keep it to myself, and or just focus on the positive.
So like you've, is there any like films that you would like that you've seen from like student festivals that you would like love to like produce as like a feature or something?
Yeah, well, one of them was the Detective Kiwi. I read the script because it was sent in as a script, and I said, I want to make this movie. Yeah, there's a couple that I'd like to make into feature films. There's a couple of horror movies that I really like. So one of the good things is as a producer, I do the film festival, and then you know, I have the opportunity to produce, and then I have connections to distribute. So it's an easier world than it used to be 20 years ago, because now they're streaming. Everybody, they're looking for content. You know, most people don't watch an entire season of stuff. They used to have to wait for the whole season. That's the way television worked. Now, over the weekend, they're like, I watched 75 different episodes of, you know, people like, they go crazy. So there's the content needed. So yeah, there's films. I ain't gonna say who it is, otherwise I won't make a good deal, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, your film was great. Sia's film, Swing Time, was great. It's a great film, you know?
Swing of Things.
Yeah, Swing of Things, that's what I mean to say.
It's all right.
Things, I saw 30 films last week. I'm out of my mind.
How do your films get judged since it's like an international film festival?
There's international judges. I have people in different countries that have different tastes, and it's just number one or two. Cinematography, pacing, sound, storyline. There's a bunch of things. This all goes through a thing called Film Freeway, which is a beautiful thing because everything just gets channeled. And then we all basically mark things down, and at the end I look over everything, and me and Charlie Aguera, who's the co-director of the festival, we talk about it, and we give out awards or whatever it is at the end of 2 months. And then at the end of the year, there's this gala event at the Miracle Theater in Washington, D.C., and then there's awards and red carpet event and all that stuff, and then screenings.
What was like the furthest you've gone for a film festival? They have them like all over the world.
The furthest I've gone personally, Manila, Philippines. Really? I won Best Actor and something else, and I went there. And they were weirded out that I was there. They're like, you came? I'm like, yeah, why not? So that was fun. It was a Manila Film Festival, Manila International Film Festival, I think it's called. So that's the furthest. But I've won awards in India only recently, in Mumbai, and also Russia, you know, which is hard because they have an award for me, but they can't mail it, which is awful nice of them, and that's since March. Because as you know, kids, it's a little rough over there right now, so the mail's not going through St. Petersburg.
What is, like, outside of the U.S., what would you say is, like, the best film industry to be in?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, Bollywood, if you know, I think every country has a film industry. For an American, I would believe, honestly, I think if you go somewhere else, because you'd be if you go to the Philippines as an actor, you'd be the only guy that looks like that. So, you know what I mean? Or in Japan. So I think sometimes being the odd man out in our industry is a good thing. So listen, there was a disco singer named Donna Summer many, many years ago, and she couldn't get herself locked up here in America. So she went to Germany and she did a record. She became a hit in Germany because she was an American disco artist, and then she brought it here. So sometimes it's better to go there, like Vegas for me. Film for me started from me being a comedian in Las Vegas because people said, who's this guy? But if I would have just been in New York the whole time taking classes and then nothing. So sometimes it's better to go elsewhere, do something there, and then go back to your roots. So I don't know. I just know that film is alive and well and lives all over the world. And I see from all the time, it's amazing. Israel, there's film. I mean, there's beautiful films and great artists out there. I saw one from Korea that had 3 screens, the whole movie. And it was brilliant. It was brilliantly done. And the last 2 months ago, they won Best, whatever, international film.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of great artists out there. And also, there's a lot of times that we as judges watch these films and we want to kill ourselves because it's the longest hour and a half of our life. You know what I mean? So it's like anything else. Some people think they're great, some people are, and sometimes they're not the same.
So,
there's a hidden message there.
so you mentioned you've done like a lot of shows like all over the country, like stage performances as like both like Elton John, and you've produced shows.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like a show gone wrong or like costumes like that like didn't make it or anything?
Every show goes wrong somehow. You just go with it. You know, it's a yes and. It's the world of improvisation. If the light falls in the middle of the stage, you just go yes. And the reason why, you know, you make it happen. I've had girls fall. I've had tops fall off from showgirls. You know, it's something that happens. So you can either go, oh my God, we made a mistake, or you roll with it. Everything is everything. So I'm an improv person. I love when if there's somebody in the front row that says something, as a comedian, I'm going off and I'm going to make that part of the show. And as long as we keep the audience in on it, it always works. So if you show it as a mistake, oh my God, did anybody see it? Yeah, there's 5,000 people out there. They saw it. So you better make them part of the act. So yeah, there's always things. Be ready for anything. That's live. And that's the beauty of live performance.
Wow. I mean, I get the feeling with this show, because like if you flub a word or something like that, you can't just be like, can we do a reshoot? No, it's like it's all keeps going and stuff.
No, and that's the word you use. We had an actor that had I don't know how long we have, but we had an actor that had a low sugar thing, and we were filming and we weren't eating, and he did a take and he had to be yelling at me, and everything he said didn't come out. Remember that take? He says, "Oh my gosh, some label lago there," and I'm like, what do I do? Do I say cut? So I went, "You're drunk. You're not even making sense." But the bottom line is the guy was sugar crashing and he was basically having a stroke, I guess. But we went with it. So if I use that take, it's usable. I never stop. Because I was saying, you're drunk. You don't know what you're talking about. That might be more interesting in the edit. I don't know. So I never say no. Yes, sure. Somebody falls. Why are you falling? Let's make that part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are no mistakes. Because every time I've made a mistake on stage, my band said, that was funny. We should do that next week. And lo and behold, next week, that's part of the act. So that's how, I mean, when I sit at the piano and I compose, and I've composed the music for all my films, when I make a mistake and go, oh, that's not the right, wait a minute, ooh, you know. So those are called happy mistakes, which is also called creativity.
So on like Detective Kiwi, you directed like kids and stuff. Like, how do you recommend like new people to like, is there like a way you
direct
can do
kids?
it? Like,
well, I have one piece of advice. If you're directing children, come a little closer, I want to tell you. Yeah, you. Here's what I say. Take Valium. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, the kids were great. You just have to think differently. Children are very, very strange because they're not, you have to direct them differently than what the script is. You have to give them little bugs in their ear and tell them things. So you have to play, and as soon as you become stressed or whatever, they shut down. So everything has to be fun and everything has to be systematic and beautiful. And if you don't do that, the children are done for the day and you get nothing. So it's an art. And I teach children, I have classes in China that I teach online, that it's a full class of kids in Shenzhen. So I love working with kids and I understand them because I am one. That's it.
well, thank you so much for coming out here. I know it was a long drive from Virginia Beach, not Virginia Beach, from
New York,
New York, and Culpeper.
I got
Thank you for coming out. Next time we'll be talking to the crew on the award-winning student film Swing of Things. I'll see you later, y'all.